Hey y'all, what's good? It's AM Trades. I know it's been a minute, but this is a trade recap for the 10th of February 2025. So this is going to be the first trade recap of this year, and we are going to be going through two NASDAQ trades this morning that made me 1.6% in total. I was risking really light today. It was actually a 3 trade day, with one being a loss, which explains why it was only a 1.6% day and not larger, as well as my stop losses being smaller than the kind of 20 points that I usually have minimum for the risk that I'm using with prop firms. So getting into it, if we go to starting off with our Forex Factory news for the day, we can see that today it is Monday, February 10th. We had just had Trump speaking at 4:30, and actually on the topic of Trump, pretty much the entire month of January was absolutely terrible for price action, just because market makers didn't really know where to push markets with the uncertainty surrounding the tariffs and all of Trump's kind of political policies in the beginning of his new kind of term as the president of the United States. So that being said, there was just kind of a lot of crazy stuff that happened. I know last week on Friday, there was like no volatility at open for the first 25 minutes, and then we saw like a 1 minute candle push 70 points down, and then another one like 25 minutes later that was over 150 points in a 1 minute candle on the NASDAQ, which is pretty much unheard of. So that's the kind of moves that Trump is doing, especially with his announcements. He's announcing things in the middle of the day with no previous kind of context to it. Whereas Biden kind of stayed within kind of his addresses to the American people, as well as his kind of press conferences and that kind of thing, where it was more time blocked and we could see it actually in the news, right? So there would be like a President Biden speaks or so-and-so speaks, and he would be kind of a guest speaker. But yeah, so that's kind of my rant on Trump so far. He's just not been super great for the movement of the markets. However, I'm hoping things kind of clean up now that we are in February and we've had trade kind of tariff breaks between all of kind of the major threatened nations that Trump has been going on about for his presidency. So that being said, we had no news. No news Monday is usually not too volatile. You can see that we had probably a like 120 point move. Yeah, so 146 points from bottom to top in market open. If we just go onto our daily bias, so you guys know that I use daily profiles as well as which is kind of a blanket term. What I mean by that is I'm using high time frame order flow to determine where I think price is going to draw towards next, right? So this blue line here is my midnight open level, right? You can see we had a wickless candle. We came in, put a wick in at around 1 a.m. So London was pretty much flat, and as we can see, it was the same way on the S&P 500 here. If we go and see our midnight open, yeah, so we were almost completely flat. There was no SMTs here. However, if we go down on the lower time frame, we can see that following that big kind of liquidity sweep on Sunday night, so this is just at open, and we came up and filled our weekly opening gap right away, which is a good sign. And then past that, this is all very nicely balanced price action, right? So these are all relative equal lows get taken out by here, and you can see that we're moving quite cleanly, especially for a kind of 5 a.m. London session Monday morning. So that is why I was kind of biased towards longs today, because you can see that we are going to trade from external to internal liquidity, as well as we are going to trade from balanced price action to external liquidity, right? So this is an example of that being balanced price action all through here, right? You can see balance moves kind of coming in, filling areas that reasonably will be filled, and then we are going to be trading to external liquidity. My external liquidity draw today was this, and it continues to be tomorrow because it didn't end up getting hit. It was a couple points off. Is this Friday 10 a.m. candle, right? So I believe in time-based manipulation in the market, so that will be your kind of 10 a.m. candle, your 2 p.m. candle, any 4-hour opening candle, because every single candle under that opens. So when the 4-hour opens, the 1 hour opens, the 3 hour opens, the 2 hour opens, the 15, 5 minute, 1 minute, whatever, 3 minute, 15, 14 minute, whatever, they all open. So this means that this candle is going to have a lot of volume because of that. I also apologize for the voice. I'm a little under the weather this week, so maybe sounding a little stuffy. But so that being said, that was our draw on liquidity. So we were obviously looking for longs today. Now, moving into our actual trade, we can see that at market open, if you go on the 5-minute here, we had kind of SMTs everywhere, but mostly to the downside. So here we can see this 7:10 a.m. low here on the NASDAQ, and then here on the S&P. We actually were super bearish on the NASDAQ. On the S&P at open. As you can tell, we kind of dumped towards these lows, these pre-market lows. However, on the NASDAQ, we just kind of stayed the same, so we didn't dip, which was also a huge confluence because not only did the S&P at market open, which is high volume, which means that it's more probable to hold, but we also had a tap into the golden pocket, so the 0.618 to 0.66 level on our Fibonacci retracement from the kind of obvious range of pre-market. So this is why I was super biased towards longs, and I was just waiting for the volume to come in. As you guys know, I usually don't trade before 9:50. However, if the setup is good enough, I will. Just because that is the 9:50 to 10:10 a.m. macro, which is when we'll see a lot of the volume right after market open come in, right? So this is when people who are pushing the market are going to be putting their volume in. So that being said, we saw that SMT to the upside. I was going to long on NASDAQ because we seemed more bullish and we had a clear draw on liquidity here to the upside. So what did we do past that? We waited for a confirmation of some sort. So here on the 5-minute, you can see that we got another SMT into market open, right? Oh, sorry, this is the one. Yeah, another SMT into market open. I'll show you that on the S&P here. And what that ended up doing is sponsored the beginning of the move to the upside on the S&P 500 to take out these pre-market highs that had already been taken out on the NASDAQ. The reason that I didn't worry about these getting taken out as an SMT right here, because the SMT to the downside is what sponsored this move up. So this SMT is not going to be valid, right? Whereas if there had been no SMT to the downside and there had been an SMT here, I would have been kind of more inclined to take shorts, potentially, if the draw liquidity hadn't been so clear up to the upside. So, that being said, we had our S&P here to the downside. I was waiting for a inverse fair value gap, either on the 1-minute or a fair value gap to the upside. So what I ended up seeing was this this previously reacted 1-minute fair value gap here. You saw a tap into it. That's what brought us down to create our SMT. So this is a high probability fair value gap. I ended up getting an entry a little tiny bit early, which was actually very fortunate off of this. Tap back into after this 10 a.m. candle. So I entered exactly at 10 a.m. because I saw it tap back into this 1-minute order block, and I could see that we were starting to get super bullish here on the S&P S&P 500, so on ES. So I entered here. We got a nice reaction to the upside off of that 1-minute fair value gap. Tap back into here to test this. Reacted swiftly, and then here I was literally just waiting for the chop to end because we started chopping as soon as we saw this, like, I think it was like a 40-50 point move up. So what ended up happening is I got shooken out of my position here. I ended up closing here for 2.67R because I was not sure. I actually didn't end up seeing this SMT at the time, but if I had, I would have held the position because I saw we had this kind of big impulsive move down here on the NASDAQ and on the S&P, and I panicked and I should not have taken profit there, but I was also already up a healthy amount, and so I closed my full position there. The second trade I took was a couple of minutes later. We saw kind of the same thing, SMT on the 1-minute. We hadn't delivered to our kind of our drawn liquidity yet, and so I wanted to see another continuation. So this was super clear to me. We saw tap into this for value gap. We got an entry at around the 0.5. You can see we reacted really nicely. Came in, filled my limit, kind of dipped into here, filled this, kind of order block mitigated it, and then we can see immediately we got an inverse. So as soon as this inverse happened, my stops were at break even. So I was pretty much risk free in this trade after 1 minute, which is wonderful to see, especially because we were so far in premium. So I don't like being very risk on. Again, this is like a 16 point stop. This one's an 18 point stop. So we were risking kind of maximum for those prop firm accounts. And then I ended up not hitting full take profit. You can see we came up like probably 2 points away from our final take profit here, but it is what it is. It did end up working out. So the reason that this one is kind of marked here is because when we made this big move down, I was kind of looking more on the 5 minute, and I saw that we didn't take this high, and we didn't fill a wick on the 10-minute candle from last Friday at 10 a.m. So I just closed it all here underneath this order block here that I saw react off. So I had my stops placed here because I was trailing them, and then I got stopped out by this candle here. And then as you can see, for the rest of the day, we just kind of chopped around and then eventually made a move to the downside in PM session. I'm very happy with the trades I took today. I think I executed very well. And this ended me with 1.6% profit on the day. I accidentally took I think it was a short position this morning, very early, and that lost me 1%, which is why these were kind of off, as well as I couldn't risk a full 1% on this trade because the minimum I need to risk 1% is a 20-point stop because I only have 1 to 50 leverage on the prop firm accounts. So I can risk, let's say it's a $100,000 account and I'm copy trading, I can only risk $1,000 if my stop is 20 points or larger, right? Because of the 1 to 50 leverage. But that being said, those are my trades for today. We're looking into the rest of the week. We've got, news of Powell tomorrow at 10 a.m. So probably going to be kind of hands off, staying on my hands tomorrow. And then Wednesday we have a very nice amount of news. CPI coming out at 8:30. That should give us a nice news candle to kind of play off of. And then Powell testifying at 10. Yeah, maybe not, but we'll see. And then we have Thursday and Friday are going to be great because we have retail sales, core sales. That'll just give us some nice news candle at 8:30. And then 8:30 we have PPI and unemployment claims. So that will be great. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in for today's trade recap. I know it's been a minute, but things have been going well. Actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow on the kind of dissolution of one-of-one funding, with whom I had $300,000 in active funding and was actually getting payouts from, which is kind of interesting to see how they manage that situation. And then secondly, I have a video coming out about my favorite prop firms. So right now it is FundedX. I've gotten a couple payouts with them so far. I've been on the leaderboard actually. I kind of like to keep that under wraps though with all the account details, as I am only 16 years old. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video.